I believed that I was God and that we could all become Christ too, if only we realized this inherent connection we have to God.
Steve grew up in a Christian home, but found fascination with ufology and the supposed evidence for UFO sightings. It made him consider the possibility that maybe our universe was filled with naturally evolved biological life. With the combination of the alleged evidence of reincarnation and ancient astronaut theory, this produces the modern-day New Age theology, and Steve was convinced he was a New Age guru that had a website and blogged to an audience that reached hundreds of thousands of views per month, which came with massive financial wealth, which to him felt like validation and a rewarding from God himself.
Jesus remained part of Steve's worldview.
I didn't really reject him, but I didn't accept him for who he truly was. I created an idol out of Jesus to suit my own preferences, to suit myself, and to suit my sin. This Jesus was politically correct. He was a universalist. I wanted to be my own guide, and I didn't want to have to play by somebody else's rules.
As Steve began blogging about New Age practices and supernatural phenomena, he came to enjoy his prominence and the money and vices that came with it. But it was never enough.
I was a lust addict for 10 years or so. I was a really broken person. I didn't realize how broken that I truly was, but I was depraved. I was miserable. I had depression and anxiety that I was suppressing. I had all of this quote-unquote spiritual knowledge, all of this information, and it wasn't bearing any real fruit in my life. I felt like something was missing. I felt a little bit dead inside.
Steve had a disturbing dream.
When I opened my eyes, I was hovering 4 feet over my bed and realized that I was out of my body, and I started having a panic attack, and a being appeared in front of me, and this being had red skin with black markings on his face. It just scared me because I realized that I wasn't in control, that this stuff is more powerful than I was, that these forces were real, and that they didn't care for my well-being. They didn't need my permission. I was in their playground.
Steve was disturbed by this event, and he began sleeping with a Bible under his pillow. He started watching videos of near-death experiences where Jesus encountered people and their lives were changed. He knew that there was something to Jesus, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. But he knew that that power was stronger than anything he could be scared of. He went to church with his mother and accepted Jesus, but he says it was more of a mental exercise than anything else, and he still held on to his New Age beliefs for a little while longer.
I reached a point in my life where the brokenness was weighing on me so much that I needed to stop playing games with my life. I needed to stop playing games with God and stop playing games with Jesus. And I just decided to go outside and to just fall on my face before Jesus and just weep. I was just weeping like a baby. I was submitting, I was repenting, I was tired, I was sorry, I was broken, and I couldn't do this alone anymore. And I was crying out for him. I wanted him.
In that moment, Steve had an experience with Christ of his own.
I could feel that he was Lord over me, and he was Lord over all creation. I could feel that he was concerned for me, but I could feel that he was king. I knew that he was king over creation, that the whole universe was under his feet, and the wind was just totally infused with his presence. And the thing that stuck out for me, that made me realize that I was dealing with God, was how the wind and the trees, the sounds outside, the birds, the crickets, they sounded like they were glorifying him. Like he was there with me, and they were acknowledging that somehow. Like, creation recognized him.
Steve burned all of his New Age books and made a public statement to his online followers.
I told people within a few days of that experience, I'm sorry for misleading all of you astray. This stuff is not of God. They're tools of demons to deceive us and lead us away from Jesus. And Jesus is the Son of God, and he's exactly who he claimed to be.
Steve was ridiculed online and had personal attacks after he denounced his teachings to his online community. He runs a website called reasonsforjesus.com to debunk New Age theology and also testify to the truth of the Christian faith. When you encounter the Lord, it changes your life. When Steve was retelling about how creation recognized God and it was testifying to him, I think this quote by C.S. Lewis sums it up pretty well. I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen, not only because I see it, the sun, but because by it, the sun, I see everything else. To me, this perfectly describes Jesus. Not only do I see Jesus now in everything, but by Jesus, I see everything else. It's like he gives you this lens of truth now that you can filter everything through. And just as in the Bible, Jesus restored the sight of the physically blind, he still today restores the sight of the spiritually blind. I was blind, and now I see. I see it now, where I never could see it before, and I can't unsee it. When Steve was talking about his disturbing encounter with a demon, it reminded me of the verse Ephesians 6:12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." These New Age and other theologies seem very innocent on the surface, but don't be fooled. Underneath, there are rulers of darkness and spiritual hosts of wickedness behind them. But we don't have to fear. The second part of John 4:4 says, "He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." Psalm 19:1, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork." Psalms 8:3 and 4, "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you visit him?" I pray that you've been blessed and encouraged today. Thanks for watching, saints. God bless.